and Frank Fiore, Paul Hollis, so the author of the Hollow Man series, Hollow Man Publishing, Hollow Man series.com and frankfiore.com and paulhollisauthor.com. Appreciate you guys. And our guest today is Cece Shatz. And I know Cece from the days of Life Improvement Radio, which is still around. And I'm still on the network, by the way, 15 years later. And it's Helium and all that. Shout out to Eric Remmel. Cece, we met, I think, at the event in the Miami Book Fair, or we had conversations in different shows when we were doing streaming together. I think you were a guest on my show on Blog Talk Radio years ago, right? It was probably 12 years ago, maybe 13.
Yeah, long time ago.
All right. So tell us what's going on with your podcast about divorce. What's the news compared to when we.
Oh, we're still doing it. Divorces happen every day. And so we're still needed and we still do it. And we've actually now, I've launched a whole network. It's called New Streaming Network. And we're on Roku TV and about 59 other platforms. So we're on podcasting. And I've been able to gather some other hosts. And so we have a whole platform where we do all kinds of things together. So, yeah.
Well, so you took those ideas, but we're going to talk divorce today, but we'll talk off air about other things and stay in touch.
Yeah. Let's talk about divorce.
Yeah, let's talk divorce.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have been divorced for maybe 4 or 5 months, was separated for 2 years, and then finally got the divorce. It was not an easy process, and it's a challenging process to begin with to finally get that divorce. So that's the other part, is it's unless you get both parties agreeing on something, you won't even get the divorce. And that comes back to really hurt people financially, hurt people in back and forth with lawyers, and spending a ton of money. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. And which is a shame because you end up the same place, right? You end up divorced. So
When you
it's
could
a
just
shame.
parted as friends. And
Mm.
and I'm not going to air my dirty laundry, but I could, but I'm not. All right, Frank, what question do you have for Cece? Frank, you're on mute.
Okay. Over the many decades, along before the divorce courts were always in favor of the female, of the woman, but that's changed, hasn't it? Where they're giving more acceptance by the man, like they be able to having custody of the children and things like that. I mean, Kramer versus Kramer, for instance, was a good movie. That might have been a turning point, you would say, with the concept of divorce.
Well, the reality is that divorces are done, even though I know, yours was long, it's pretty quickly, right? And the courts, they just want to bang, bang, bang and get it in there and get it out. And so the best thing to do is really come together, united as a family, because you're going to be a family even after divorce, right? So you have to sit down and really talk about what's in the best interest of your kids. And it's not necessarily like who's the best parent, because I think we're all good parents, we at least we try to be good parents. But the reality is that maybe your kids need something differently. Maybe they don't necessarily at this time need to go with the mom because there's something that's happening that they need the dad. So I think it really is up to the families if they can come together, have conversations, and then figure out what is in the best interest of the child, and then determine that together and work together as parents, be totally united. If you do that, the reality is like, kids see if there's like a hole, a hole in the structure of your relationship, right? If there's a hole there, they try to, get through that hole. And so you as parents want to be a united front, and you want to continue to have that even after divorce, even after you're separated. So what happens in each other's household may be a little bit different. The structure may be a little bit different, but if you've got a problem with your child, you're going to pick up the phone and talk to, your wife, your ex-wife, or you're going to pick up the phone and talk to your ex-husband about it because you're parents. And that's what people don't get. They don't get that even after your divorce, you're still parents and you're still going to have to parent. And so you need to end your relationship on a note where you can actually have a conversation about your children as they continue to progress in their lives.
And that normally doesn't happen at much. and what you found out. Paul, do you have a question for Cece?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying, Cece. I'm wondering that, sometimes in divorces that people, the husband or the wife are looking forward to something else already. And so they don't really get a chance to come back to those kids and say, what's best for them because, oh, I'm off doing with my new girlfriend or, that sort of thing, right? So how do you suggest somebody deals with that?
Well, with every divorce, there's usually a party that's left behind, right? And the one that's moving forward has already started building their relationship long, their projection of their single life or projection of what they want their future to become long before the left behind party gets on board with it, right? Because usually they don't know what's happening. So the reality is when that other party is going on with their other life, they're moving forward, and so they're not really maybe making the space for the kids as they should. Then the other party needs to step up because we have to be parents, and so we have to see if something's happening, and maybe the kids need a little bit more one-on-one time, that type of thing. And so that's where I think the parenting plan really becomes effective. Is like if you're seeing that, like I'll give you an example. In my own marriage, is I did a lot of research beforehand, and I came to the conclusion that I thought that my son would do better with my ex-husband. He was a bad husband. He was not a good husband, but he was a great father. And over the years, he's been a great dad. And so I think that's what you truly have to do. If one party is not doing what they should be doing parenting wise, then the other party needs to step up, and be there for the children. So I don't know if that answered your question
It
properly.
does. But I'm gonna jump in some controversial now. I still think that the courts completely rule for women more than men by 80%, and especially in custody situations. I think it's an unfair situation a lot of times with when it goes to court because they're unrealistic expectations, not looking at what's the best interest for children. I see a lot. And I wanted to get your feedback and why is this happening and how could this change for so many men that are getting kind of really stepped on when it comes to custody?
Well, I agree with you. I think things need to change. And I think the reason that it's the way it is not necessarily because they just think, oh, women are better. I think that's just the way it's been, right? So they're just following that suit and they're just continuing on unless the parents step forward and say, hey, we want this to happen. And so that's what I think needs to take place is I think that there's a lot of great dads out there that really could do wonders with having more input with raising their children. But I love the idea of doing like a 50-50, be spending more time trying to come up with a visitation schedule where you're looking at 50-50 because kids need both their parents. They need that. As women, we offer something different than a man offers, right? And the same thing, like, moms offer something different than the dads offer. And so, because women tend to be more, and I'm not saying always more, but tend to be the nurturing parent, usually, that's why it goes to the women. But there's nothing wrong with a man stepping up and saying, hey, no, I want 50-50. I want half my time with those children. I can give it, prove it, prove that you can, prove that you've got the schedule. And I think any judge will probably let you have it.
I don't agree with that one. That point is the judge. It depends on the state, depends on how backwards the state is, it depends on how they're looking at specific things. I mean, the one thing I think is the biggest problem is let's just say you have two homes and one is a much better home, safer, more nurturing, more, and they're not going to choose. They want to see them with both parents. And if that other parent is out of control, doesn't matter. They still want two parents. And that's why we're running into a situation where so many people are in chaotic situations in life and then they have chaotic lives because of it, because we don't place people in where their best position is. That's my take. But again, that would be the best situation. So, Cece, give me an update in this network. How do people get involved in being part of your network?
Well, I just want to address that what you were
Mm.
saying prior is I think that if you want to solve that problem prior to your divorce, you need to go to like either mediation or have a coach, a divorce coach that can kind of help walk you through the landmines that you're going through, and then try to go to mediation and try, I'm sorry, and try to get that planned out. Get your parenting plan marked out before you go to court. So this way the judge then will accept what you both as parents have decided what to do. What's happening is that a lot of times we're fighting and we're bickering. The judge decides for us, which isn't the best case for all families. So that's just a little bit on that. To get me, you just go to newstreamingnetwork.com, and that's where our information is, all of our shows. We've got tons of shows about divorce, tons of shows about transitioning into your new life of being single, and then possibly dating if you're looking to step out into the dating world. So you can find all of our information on there. I'm Cece Shatz. I'm everywhere. So you can find me on all social media, and anything I can do to help people, that's what I'm here for.
All right. Thanks, Cece. Appreciate it. You're listening
Thank
and watching
you.
The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.